I'm sitting on the Shri Kripalu Dham side of the fence these days. I'm a resident here, and when I see Maharaj Ji's talks every morning, as we do before we start pratna, and so I'm hearing what Maharaj Ji is saying in the context of being an ashramwasi, and you kind of hear differently from the point of view that you start to realize the depth that he wants us to go to. And you also start to realize that when I was living in Australia and New Zealand, etc., and touring around even to the United States and so on, how your mind, it's easy for your mind to just absorb itself into the environment in which you have been put. And Maharaj Ji has acknowledged, he said, that is a very difficult circumstance to be in. If you're going to work, having to commute, sitting with fellow members that you've got to relate to, going out and seeing business people that you want to project your sales pitch or what you want them to do in order to keep the wheels of your income and the company rolling along and so on. And even recreationally, we find ourselves in this scenario. So the answers are, I think, lying in checks and balances. If one starts one's day, you, me, and all of us, by watching a short talk of Shri Maharaj Ji or sitting on your own, and just taking the time out to remind yourself you are the Atma, the soul. You see, we've heard these things umpteen times before, and the problem is that we don't actually, I don't believe we do anyway, I don't think we reflect on it as often as we should. We have this unfortunate habit of saying, well, I know I'm the Atma, the soul power. I understand this, and off we go. But if you, by association, think, well, what does it mean to be the soul, and why has Shri Maharaj Ji in the Vedas, etc., emphasized that the wise one understands and accepts that they are the Jivatma, and the ignorant and the foolish think that they are the body, the mind, the birth certificate name that was given to you by said parents and so on. So there's a huge, right there, if again Maharaj Ji talks about if your initial equation in mathematics is wrong, the numbers are added up incorrectly, and on the basis of that initial equation you start building your building, then Maharaj Ji said it all goes wrong because it's not on the solid foundation. So taking time out to think I'm the Atma. Even here in the ashram, as you probably know, Bhakti did a little bit of a damage to her arm and she had to go and see a favourite surgeon and have some stitches. She likes them, so she gets attention, and the jijis are saying, oh, how are you, how are you? And, oh, well, I'm okay. But as we were walking to the hospital, that's just a bit of fun I'm sharing that with. No, nothing other than that intention. I was walking to the hospital this morning she would work with her to, get the bandage changed, etc. And going through my mind was, remember you're the Atma, remember you're the Atma. Because on the basis of that, your decision-making changes. And if you work hard on understanding that, then all of the philosophy that Maharaj Ji has taught will come flooding into you. Everything will come into shape, into perspective. That's why sewa is so important. There is a gentleman, I won't mention his name because, but he once wanted to talk to me. We were in Avoca Beach and we went down to a cafe, and he said, Swamiji, I have trouble doing devotion morning and night. I have such a busy job. The moment I get in the shower, I'm thinking of the company that I run. The moment I get home, I try and relax, but I've got all these problems that have to be solved, and so my mind's going in circles on those things. But I can write a check. I can definitely write a check and let that be my seva. So I said, look, giving financially, making, all the work that you're doing and the wealth that it's creating, and taking that wealth and passing it to Shri Maharaj Ji, to the trust of JKP, it's a big thing. But it's not a shortcut. Definitely not a shortcut. Meaning, the easiest seva, and Maharaj Ji said this through the years, the easiest seva is financial seva. Because you work hard absorbing your mind in what you're doing, but at the end of the day, you're doing all this as a seva to Shri Maharaj Ji, and then you trust in his guardianship, his taking shelter of him. And of course, the other seva, as you all know, is physically involved. If you can do something, like in the ashram there are 700 residents, give or take, and all, apart from the elderly and the infirm, all are engaged in doing seva, physically. And then the highest class, of course, is Manasi seva, where you are remembering Radhe Nam, you're meditating on their form. Any spare moment you get, you think of Maharaji and Radha, and you repeat like this. Now, I'm mentioning about the fellow who was so busy and said he could write a check. This was years ago. Now, he's very much engaged. I guess you can do your conclusions like, Sherlock Holmes and work out who it might be. But this personality is now one of the main cogs in the wheel to establish the museum, this high-tech modern edifice that's suddenly now starting to spring up from the ground. The building is underway. They've problem solved all the reasons that they couldn't get the thing moving. They've got it done, and now you can see it's starting to take shape. Very much a cog in that, and therefore has to come to India frequently in order to participate. They have conference calls from overseas, of course, but then they have to come regularly also to engage with the local engineers, etc., to talk with the deities on what's happening. And I thought to myself, this personality, so many years ago, said, I have no time other than to do financial seva. But now look at him. He's progressed from that to physical involvement, to manasya seva, mental remembrance. I know this because I've sat with him. He visited briefly to Missouri. He comes to the ashram here, and I've asked him, how's things going? How's your spiritual life? What's happening? And there's a change occurring in him, because seva is to give yourself, to engage of yourself in the ideals of what Shri Maharaj Ji wants. A short clip we put up just, I think yesterday we recorded it here, where I was talking about how in the morning yesterday we went to visit our school, Maharaji's school in Kunda, about 8 kilometers from here. And just to go and see all of these, about 3,000 roughly, schoolgirls from tiny tots to university level, all in their uniforms and their fresh, bright faces, and the deities giving out in person this wonderful coloured backpack full of school utensils and things that they need for the coming year, etc., or however they, the future, now and tomorrow. And where I was sitting, you see, the line was coming past me as they collected their bags, and I could just see their faces, and many of them would turn towards me and go, Radhe, Radhe. And I thought, gee, look at these children. They've got such confidence. This school, this hub that Maharaji's created to help them mature into confident, educated human beings. It's wonderful to see. They all walked with a purpose. They knew their place. They were confident their future was going to be okay. They have Shri Maharaj Ji supporting them, and the way that they showed their love for the deities, they had written songs, some had done pictures and paintings, and the adoration and love they had for the deities. And of course for Maharaj Ji too, because this school was already manifest by his grace before he left this earth. And so you think to yourself, we are part of that. When we do this seva, whatever level it might be, we are enabling Shri Maharaj Ji to grace, to give out, to help these people. You take the hospital here in Shri Kripalu Dham. It's the first hospital that was built. It's undergoing rapid expansion. Recently, I think 8 or 9 operating theatres were built as an extension to this already extended hospital. Now they're not filled up at this point because the surgeons, etc., they are coming, but there's work to get these personalities to give their time voluntarily to come here and perform these operations. It's just extraordinary, and the deities have such love for all of the doctors who've completely volunteered their time, all of the satsangis who are fulfilling the roles of nurses and have been trained accordingly. Our trust had just bought this extraordinary CAT scan. You know, you lie flat and go, come out the other side. The cost of these things, you can't imagine how much is spent by the trust in order to make this happen. And it goes on and on and on. Maharajji's wish to help those who cannot help themselves, and to help those who want to love God, who want to go to the highest level of charity, i.e. surrender and grace. So when we talk about Kusang, if we forget these 3 areas of seva, we don't engage in them, for whatever reasons we give ourselves that I can't. But you can do 1 of the 3, or all of the 3, or 2 of the 3, and you have to take it so seriously that by starting your day, sitting there quietly, before you put on your I'm a busy hat, on with your coat, your cloak, and out the door and into the slipstream of materiality, you do this initial equation before you build your day. I am the Atma. The Atma by nature belongs to Radha Krishna. Atma is a divine power. Atma is the true nature of the I. Atma is an eternal power. This physical body, the relationships, the things I'm achieving in my workplace, the possessions that I call mine are all impermanent, transitory, and they do not belong to you. We like to believe that I have an impact when I meet people. It's temporary. Even those schoolgirls, the people in the hospitals and so on, it's all temporary. That is why Maharaj Ji said the highest charity is to help a person progress spiritually to the ultimate realization of supreme divine love. But there is a place for us. There's a place where we can find our mark. And it starts with the first equation, I am the Atma. And that is spiritual oxygen. This is breathing in the divine energy. This is reminding yourself repeatedly, don't lose yourself in all of these activities. These activities, if you don't start with that equation, they become purely material. Purely, they are not devotion, because you are not doing one of the three savas. They are just for myself and for where I think I'm going to find my happiness. As I've often said in the talks, you ask a school-going child, why are you going to school? And the child says, I need an education. What do you want to do with your education? I want to get a job, a good job. Why do you want a good job? Because I want to be able to afford the things that I want, and I want to do something that I enjoy. Why do you want to do something that you enjoy? Because it makes me happy. Why do you want to earn money to get the things you want? Because it will make me happy. Why have you got the nature to be happy? Everybody's got the same nature. How can you explain your desire to be happy? If you're a non-devotee, you'll say, I can't. If you're a devotee, you can give a speech on it. Why I'm looking for happiness and where it lies. So, I am the Atma, the soul. I'm about to go out and engage in my day. Why am I engaging in my day? What is the outcome I want from my day? Is it to close off a sale, to get recognition from my colleagues, to get a good commission so that I can do the things that I want? What do you want to do and why? In other words, the answer to your question, Rishi, is Kusang is to lose yourself in the physical. I am this body, I am this name, this is my partner, this is my family, these are my. And our Maharaj would say, well, if they belong to you, who is the you that they belong to? If you ask seriously these questions. So, as I said to that gentleman, or he said to me, I can write a check, I can do that, but I don't have time in the day for my devotion. But he changed, because he meant it. And he became a very solid donor of his income wealth to enable to help these schoolgirls, to establish these hospitals, to build the museum and all of the other projects that enable people to be a better version of themselves, to enable them to come closer to Shri Maharaj Ji. And the closer you come to a fire, the more you can feel the warmth. The closer you come to the Guru, the more he can influence you in the right direction with your life. This is the philosophy. If you give of your time, whether it's your wealth, whether it's your time to sit with him over a cup of coffee, or whether you are going to your workplace to fulfill the requirements of your work, or whether it's to go for a recreational activity and others are involved. If you're doing it just for those things and that's all, I'm going to have a coffee because I feel good in the company of said person, and that's your reason, then have that. Maharaj, he said clearly, he said there's only 4 areas. You can engage with a tamasic, you can worship and engage and have the association of tamasic people, and then become like that. You can work and associate, etc., with rajasic, become passionate and business orientated, etc. Compromise on your values when you want something badly enough. I will do it. Passionate, rajas, common, be like that. Stay in that area. Sattvic, oh, I want to do good and be good. I want to worship the celestial gods. I want to go to heaven. I've heard it's opulent there. I want to be righteous, then stay there. No, I want to associate with the saint, with the Mahapurush and God, then go there. He said, it's so simple. What do you want? You choose. It's your life after all. But he does point out to go towards the material world in whatever echelon it be, from the celestial heavens right through the middle region where we are, through the animal kingdom, etc., dropping into the lower regions. The translation is hellish regions, but they really are, if you could use that word, because even now you can see people in a kind of a hell, a mental torpor, a physical struggle, no money, sleeping on the streets. That's a hell. And if you think it ends there, you'd be wrong. There's further you can drop, and there's higher you can climb. But it's all cyclic. It's all impermanent. It's all binding you to the wheel of birth and death, Maya. But if it's towards the Mahapurush, the saint, the Guru, Radha Krishna, God, then your heart and mind softens, purifies, opens up to the influence more and more of these divine personalities. And then your whole scope of life shifts away from Maya to this direction. That is why Kusang is actually another word for, I'm going to totally forget Maharaj Ji, forget Radha Krishna, and just go towards the world and take the benefits that I can get with my own intelligence of where I think I'm best served in the world. Now I know we come up with the excuse, I'm no different than you, but I get lost in doing those things. I have to sit down with these people and hear what they've got to say. I have to absorb the thoughts that are in their mind, the ambitions that they carry, their thoughts, their hopes. I just can't avoid such association. Then the shield of protection is sewa. Like that gentleman who said, I can write that check to those who come here, and the GGs love such people who say, look, I'm going to go and treat the peasants, the villagers who are so poor, they're still living in a simple brick hut or a mud house with thatched roofs. Their sense of cleanliness, their sense of hygiene, etc., very different to ours, and they come in wearing all kinds of clothes of poverty. And you're a trained doctor from the United States who is the head of emergency, a head of minor operation, MOT, and you give up all of that to come here and work with these people. There is a cancer specialist here. He tends to the deities, and he also helps others, of course. I was speaking to him, and he said, I can't believe it. He said, I was in a top hospital in Mumbai. All the trappings that come with reaching the pinnacle of your peers to be considered a leading authority on cancer in a country of 1-point-something billion people. Oh, so high. And yet, he said, in the twinkling of an eye, I just walked away from that, and now I'm completely immersed in the savor of the deities, of course, for our Shri Maharaj Ji. Such an extraordinary thing. Serving such poor people and doing it in the way that Maharaj Ji wants, to honor these people, to respect these people, to be gentle with these people, not to have attitude, I'm doing something for you, so shut up and sit down. You're lucky I'm helping you. No. Amazing. And I know this because we've had engagement with the hospital through our own needs. And so the deities love the fact that these souls leave their homes, hearth and home, and most of them come from well-established, wealthy backgrounds, to physically give And of course, Manasi, because by doing that, there's pictures of Maharaj Ji around them. The deities come and visit. Maharaj Ji used to go every day to the hospital. And then there's the nurses and the admin side. Have you ever thought how many people are needed to make a professional, proper hospital function, from the janitors all the way through to the business administration chief executive? So in your environment, you have to work harder. Seriously. Here we get to do a regular devotion that's set in concrete. Meaning, if you don't turn up to Aarti, Maharaj Ji, he's said, this is not acceptable. You have to come to Aarti. At least you have to come to Aarti, whether you participate in the other chanting programs through the day, depending on your status, depending on what seva you're doing, you may or may not be able to. But Aartis are mandatory. Back in Australia, New Zealand, or wherever you are, who's going to admonish you? You get feedback from other people who will criticize you behind your back, or an upline person saying you're not working hard enough, or you'll get all kinds of physical complaints, etc. In other words, Maya, Mother Maya, kicks your backside all the time, every day, relentlessly. Why? Trying to say you're going in the wrong way. Meaning, you've got to remember Radha, Krishna and Guru. Don't settle for Maya. Don't do it. You'll get nothing out of it. How long will you live? I don't know. And what will you take with you when the Atma leaves this physical body to merge back into the 5 elements? Where you leave a car in the jungle and don't go near it for 10, 15 years, the jungle will claim, even though it's metal, it will claim it back into the 5 elements. Your body will be claimed by the earth, by the air, by the water, by the ether. It will be claimed back. What's left of your body? Nothing. What's left of the soul? Everything intact. But what goes with the soul? Karan Sharira. What's that? It's the causal body where all of your thoughts that haven't undergone consequences are stored so you can undergo it in your next life and the next life and the next life. And you keep feeding back into this causal body your thought processes that, haven't yet undergone consequence. Like people dream, I want to be rich, I want to be rich. Maybe in this life they don't become rich. Or because they desire to be rich, they start doing nefarious deeds to get money the easy way, and they become rich, but they are suffering miserably. Don't do that. One has to be aware. That's why I'm talking about the primary equation, the mathematics, the foundation of every day. I am Atma. Tell yourself over and over, and I am precious to Radha Krishna, for they are the manifestation of supreme bliss, and the soul belongs to them naturally, like light belongs to the sun. But I believe strongly, if we think of consequence to what we're doing, we would be so shocked. No. I went through the whole day only to cement the ties to Maya, to bind myself even more to this wheel of birth and death that's barreling along. You say, I'm a good person, at least I'll get a human life next. I'm a good person. What's your definition of good? Even there's ignorance. What is your definition of good? I had a cousin once who said to me, he's passed away now, in all seriousness, he said, this year I'm going to become good. I'm going to advance spiritually. I said, that sounds very good. Tell me, what are you going to do? He said, I'm going to stop smoking and stop drinking alcohol. His definition of good was to not drink alcohol or smoke cigarettes. So in other words, our ignorance extends if we don't consider the Atma and the true value of it, but we just consider our work in the world and our friendships and our activities from a worldly perspective. What measurement can you give? Again, Maharaj Ji said, when you come before Yamraj, who is the keeper of cause and effect, and he says, what have you done in your life? And you say, I've decorated the planet. Decorated the planet? How? I built 6 beautiful houses. So, Kusang is of the mind only. You have to work harder. You go towards the 3 sevas. You remember who you are. And then you engage with the world with the aim of following Maharaj's instructions, because it's all about those 3 sevas. Why? Because seva draws you close to him. Seva, as you know, comes from bhakti, the root word bhaj, to serve. Bhajan, the root word of bhajan, to sing the divine glories, is seva. If you're not in doing it, if you're not doing any of those 3, 1, 2, or all 3, if you're not doing that, then what are you doing? What are you hoping for? A miracle? I'll just engage Maharaj Ji with respect. I'll do all the things that I want to do without the discipline of giving of myself. Tadvidhip pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. Approach with the desire to learn, to know, and to give of yourself. A genuine desire to learn. And sevaya, to give of yourself. Humility, to know, to give. These words are easy to say. It's a fact. But saying I'm a king doesn't make you a king. Saying food doesn't satisfy your belly. They are words only. A lot of effort is required to say I'm a devotee. I believe in Maharaj Ji. Those are words. But following what that means, putting that into practice, why then you can say, I am a satsangi of him, because satsangi means sat. Sat sangha, to associate with sat, which is truth, devotion, guru, Radha Krishna, satsanga. And the exact opposite of satsanga is kusang, to not associate there with truth, with divinity. Not at all. I am instead purely Maya in my outlook and my behavior and my ambition. Therefore the words, I belong to Maharaj Ji, are just words, unless we follow what he is asking of us. We're putting into practice seva, associating with truth. These are sobering words. They fly in the face of what our ego wants to do. I just want to run along the beach. I just want to plunge into the warm waters of Byron Bay. I just want to, and I will come to Maharaj Ji. So we say, I will, but are they just words? Or I am? This looking in the mirror, a spiritual mirror, and seeing yourself for who you are. A drunkard doesn't know they're a drunkard until they realize, actually I am a drunkard. And then, once they start truly realizing that, then they think, well, what is being continually drunk doing to myself? I've lost my family, my body's becoming weak, I feel miserable, I feel mentally shot, exhausted. The habit is ruining me. I have to do something. They've hit rock bottom. And until that realization comes, the momentum to lift yourself out of that malaise is not there at all. The motivation's not there. So we have to motivate ourselves. And to say that Maharaj Ji kept things back from us is not true. He put everything on the table clearly, without ambiguity. There is no confusion. He says clearly, attached to the world, attached to God. There's no third place. And he's told us how to move from there to the divine. You know what he said, Seva, Nradhinam, Rup Dhyan, Sangha, Satsanga. Now, it would be easy to say, but I'm caught in Maya. Not everybody can go and live in Mangar. You think it's easy here? The discipline goes up. The temperature increases. The awareness of your thoughts. My goodness, you say, am I really thinking like that? Is this what I'm doing with every minute? In other words, this is now, you could say, PhD level. Now you've got to have your mind sharp. Where you are right now, where do you want to go? Ask yourself. And then ask yourself, what am I doing to achieve this? Because unless you are giving a self-appraisal of honesty about what you want and what you're doing, then you're like a drunkard. I'm not going to acknowledge my problem. I'll just keep doing what I always do. I like it that way. My ego is happy. It's my habit after all. How can I break that? So this is, I'm going to finish on this. This is School of Hard Knocks, Maya. She's relentless. She's pitiless. Because she's the maidservant of Sri Krishna. If my children are moving in the wrong direction, slap them. If they won't listen to the Guru, slap them. Make them think, I'm sick of this suffering. What am I doing wrong? Oh, that's right. And imagine this. Who has a genuine Guru? How many people do you know other than our own satsang? We have him. We have his voice. We can access his teaching at any moment. It's whether or not we're just saying the words or doing the practice. Kusang is a consequence of carelessness. It's a consequence of just not taking it seriously enough. We say we have faith in Maharaj Ji, but only to the point that it gratifies what we want to do. Or we get annoyed with ourselves because we're not doing it. We become depressed, we become angry, and now where's our mind? How are you going to do devotion with a mind like that? So we have to tell our mind, battle with it. Battle with it. I will not stay where I am. Our Maharaj Ji says, if you don't want to do what I'm saying, he's talking about ashramwasis, then be a gentleman, gentlewoman, and leave. Otherwise, I'm going to have to show you the way out myself. Meaning, this is not a holiday camp. This life is not a holiday camp. This life is to learn at last the truth of what it is that empowers this body. It's the Atma. And to understand what is the significance of this Atma. It's such a golden opportunity. Our Guruji is warning us, you will not get this opportunity easily again. It's so rare. It's rarer than the human birth.